Good day. This is William Garvey, editor-in-chief of Business and Commercial Aviation magazine. Today we're speaking with Rolland Vincent, a longtime business aviation executive and consultant with an economics background. In 2010, he partnered with JetNet of Utica, New York, to create the JetNet IQ, a much-respected source of business aviation market intelligence. Much of the financial news is worrisome. I mean, tariffs, trade wars, government shutdown, higher interest rates, deficits, and the wild fluctuations in the stock market. What will be the impact of this, if any, on business aviation?
Great question, Bill. The other things going on right now with the partial government shutdown in the U.S., some of the reporting agencies, the Bureau of Economic Analysis, etc., they're not going to be issuing their reports. So we're going to be flying a little bit blindly here. Investors are concerned, and whenever that happens, typically what we've seen in the past is that nothing happens. People essentially freeze. They stop activity they would normally have been planning to accomplish. So whether that's buying an aircraft or maybe even flying an aircraft, chartering, we're not in good waters here. This is a period of uncertainty, and like I said, the people generally don't do anything when there's an uncertain environment.
On a totally different subject, the ADS-B equipage deadline is now less than a year away, and there seems to be, based on various forecasts, there seems to be a likelihood that thousands of aircraft will fail to meet it, and they're essentially grounded at that point. Do you agree with those forecasts? And if so, what are the short-term and long-term consequences?
Yeah, I do agree with those forecasts. We've been talking to several of the MRO leaders around the industry, and they've been signaling for some time that, hey, it's time to call, time to get in line. Us, our competitor, whoever it is, let's keep these airplanes flying. Those deadlines are not moving. The signal has been out there for years and years and years, 10 years maybe or more now, that this was the deadline. So operators, owners have no excuse, really. We will see some aircraft not able to fly on Jan 1, 2020, and that is the reality. I think there's going to be some temporary allowances regarding, a shuttle flight, if you like, or a positioning flight into an MRO, maybe a one-time operation, and that's it. I think what we'll see, at least temporarily, is a spike in demand, interest in things like charter and maybe even fractional ownership, where people are going to suddenly realize they needed lift that they no longer have.
Will there be permanent retirements, do you think, of aircraft?
I think so, because if you look at this, okay, this is primarily this time affecting the U.S. market, but that is 60% of the world's fleet, and nobody wants to have an aircraft that can't sell in the largest market in the world. And, of course, other large markets are also investing in this technology. So, really, you're looking at an orphan airplane that can't fly in many regions of the world. So it becomes unsellable or certainly heavily marked down to sell. So any operator owner should really be getting in an MRO shop now.
Looking at the other end of the spectrum, there's a lot of conversation now that seems plausible, more than plausible, a near-term reality about supersonic business aircraft. If they come, they will come at a formidable price point, and I'm curious, while rich individuals can maybe own these things and operate them with some ease, will corporations be willing to pay the price for supersonic?
Oh, absolutely, Bill. We're very bullish on supersonic. This is a technology that is absolutely coming. In fact, it's already been here. We just haven't put it into a business aircraft application in any recent days. So that's all coming. We're very bullish on that. There are corporations, especially private corporations, for which this will be their next airplane. There's no question. Heads of state, this is another interesting application. They may operate today a 747 or a 787. They may need this type of aircraft or want this type of aircraft to get their primary head of state person to whatever meetings or arrangements they're going to. So absolutely there's demand. It's private corporations, high net worth individuals, some public corporations, although probably a lesser extent than we've seen in the past due to some of the optics. And frankly, fractional charter, the very interesting market there for charter. There are people salivating looking for this airplane in the charter community. And then certainly head of state and some really interesting special mission applications.
What time frame do you think for supersonic business travel?
It's coming in sort of deliberate steps. I think regulatory issues are still to be resolved. That always takes some time. Mid-2020s, I think we'll see the first airplanes in service. We expect 2 or 3 OEMs to be playing in this market by the end of the decade.
What do you see as business aviation's most serious flaws or vulnerabilities?
I wish it wasn't the case, Bill, but I think it's still the public image. There are many things we can do to improve the public image of what business aviation is, does, and what it can do. I think that's still an area of concern. I think there's many things there to work on.
Business aviation has always touted as its major attributes on-demand travel, security, face-to-face meetings with your customers or suppliers. I just had a discussion recently about the millennials, and they may not see it the same way. They may not see face-to-face meetings as all that important, or that there are alternative ways to engage with people. Do you think business aviation's attributes are vulnerable?
Not in terms of delivering face-to-face, long-haul interaction. There's no alternative until Star Trek transporters are invented. There's no better and no other way to travel long distance, especially direct point-to-point. Business arrangements and personal arrangements are best established in a face-to-face environment. I mean, you know me, I know you. We can talk on the phone and there's no worries. But had we not ever met, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I think that's a reality. It's that people are social animals, regardless of income or racial or ethnic background. We all aspire essentially to the same things. We want good things for our children and maybe better than we had. And part of that is just moving up the pyramid. As people move up socioeconomic pyramids around the world, they actually become more alike than dissimilar. So if people are following the leader, and I think in many ways business aviation, the U.S. is the leader, this is how we prefer to travel. And I think that's only just being discovered around the world.
We've been speaking with Rolland Vincent, a well-regarded business aviation market consultant. This is William Garvey, editor of Business and Commercial Aviation magazine. Thank you for your time and your interest.